Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I'm Iain.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to take a look at a movie from director Robert Zemeckis, Death Becomes Her, released in 1992 and starring Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis and Goldie Hawn. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Death Becomes Her?
Well, the story follows the three main actors and actresses, Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis, who play a group of friends. Meryl Streep plays Madeline, who is a failing Broadway actress-singer. You have Goldie Hawn playing Helen Sharp, who is a novelist, and her fiancé, Ernest Menville, played by Bruce Willis. Madeline manages to coax Ernest away from Helen and steals him for herself. Helen spends a few years inside an institution, goes a bit crazy, and takes it upon herself to try and bring Madeline down, which then opens the door to magic potions and immortality.
This is quite a bizarre and, I will say, almost forgotten film. This has cult movie written all over it.
Definitely.
It definitely belongs in that category, but there's still not enough people anymore that are aware of this film. When you look at Meryl Streep movies in particular, she is one of the most incredible female actresses of our time.
Oh, definitely.
She is an Oscar-winning phenomenon. She often does movies that are translated from novels and that are already got pretty much critical acclaim.
Yeah.
So seeing her in this sort of romantic comedy,
Black comedy,
it is quite jarring. Also for Bruce Willis, we see Bruce Willis as John McClane. It's pretty much that is who Bruce Willis is, and Bruce Willis plays Bruce Willis pretty much all the time now. But it's always interesting to go back and just see him in a comedy even.
Well, I mean, Bruce Willis started off in light-hearted comedies with Moonlighting.
Hit it, muchacha!
And then obviously broke out with the release of Die Hard. So he was, at this point, 1992, still kind of working out who Bruce Willis is, what can Bruce Willis do, and, comedies, he had to test himself.
And we also have Goldie Hawn. And where is she now? She literally has disappeared. Did she find the potion and disappear?
No, well, yeah, possibly. She married the man of the silver screen, Kurt Russell, and obviously had children and, raised a daughter. Or maybe she's actually Kate Hudson.
So we have some fantastic actors complementing it with director Robert Zemeckis, who for me is pretty much the legendary director behind the Back to the Future movies, or looking back at even maybe Forrest Gump or Castaway, or he's pretty much got a plethora of awesome movies which are pretty much universal. We also have Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. doing makeup effects on a black romantic comedy. These are the guys that helped create The Predator, The Alien, Tremors, all sorts of different monsters and creatures across a range of movies. So, what is Death Becomes Her, really?
If you've never seen Death Becomes Her, you need to get yourself a copy of this film. I remember watching this film back in 93, 94, I was just coming into the age of watching films, getting over Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and then you come across this film. And I haven't seen this film in, on almost 15 years now. Said about sitting down to watch it for the review, and then I just remembered why this film is so brilliant. It is funny from start to finish. Meryl Streep doing a diva performance at the beginning. Damn! That woman, oh.
One that asks me what I'm really made of.
I saw her on screen, I was just like, seeing her slide down the banister during her song. What makes the scene even brilliant is people are getting up and walking out of the show. They do not like her. She is a bitch.
Well, because right from that get-go, you're seeing how self-important she is.
Yeah.
She is number one, and she doesn't give a shit about anybody else other than herself.
Nope.
And that is coming across in her performance, in the whole theatrical setup. And that's why everyone's just upping and leaving. Except, of course, for Ernest, who's just kind of in awe. He's like you, Ian. He's just mesmerised.
just hypnotised by this performance on stage. I mean, Meryl Streep, she's done some classic movies. Her performance in The Deer Hunter is a reason why that film is as amazing as it is. Seeing her on stage, she captures the screen. She captures your eye. And Bruce Willis is the little clap monkey just applauding. And then on top of that, you've got Goldie Hawn. At this point, when I'd watched it back in the day for the first time, Goldie Hawn I'd only seen her in Overboard with Kurt Russell.
Was it Benjamin?
And she also starred in Private Benjamin, which is in itself another classic. But you get all three of these on screen. And the scene I'm talking about is when they first get together in the makeup room. And the camera's just focused on them, and all three of them are just hitting their marks, hitting their lines. It's just all flowing.
Well, I've read all about dance you. Number, boy, oh boy, that.
I can't believe I'm meeting you.
He never told me he had such a Madeline Ashton thing.
Well, we're both huge fans.
I'm sure he doesn't have a thing.
I love how when she's in there, she's preparing her performance in just greeting them, and it's just you get to see who these people are in just these minute little bits just before the scene would play out.
Yeah.
And Goldie Hawn's character is reluctant, but at the same time determined to introduce these two because, as she says, every man she's had has failed this test.
The Madeline
test. And so she's introducing them to her, and they're like, you'll be smitten with her, you'll fall in love with her, and you won't want me anymore. And that's fine, because if you fail this test, then I don't want to be with you.
Well, she does say it's happened 3 times before, and she can't handle it one more time.
True. And that's what, of course, goes and happens.
After seeing all three of them in the room, and Madeline manages to coax Bruce Willis away from Helen, it then skips 7 years. It just comes up 7 years, and you see Helen in her fat suit with ice cream and cats.
And then we get her Nutty Professor moment, where she's just sat there watching a videotape of Madeline in another movie performance where she gets strangled and killed, and she's just rewinding it and playing it again and again and again to the moment where the bailiffs and the police are escorting her out and dropping her into One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest land. You expect to see Chief in the background.
It was so brilliant because all the women sat there and the doctor's just like, what do you want to talk about, Helen? And Helen's nervously looking at her hand. She's like, I want to talk about Madeline. And the room just erupts and everyone's like, ah!
I would like to talk about Madeline Ashton.
And then it skips another 7 years. We have literally just jumped 14 years in the space of a few seconds. I'm like, okay, wow, keep the story going. We're then reintroduced to Ernest and Madeline. Madeline is, I'd say, she's trying to hold on to her celebrity status.
Whether she actually had it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, she gets a lot of reactions from other people, which would suggest that she was close to achieving it at one point, but never really attaining it. And that, for me, is pretty much her drive throughout the film, is not just to retain her youthfulness, but to actually attain full cult celebrity status.
Yeah, and she's just surviving on Ernest's paycheck. And before he dumped Helen back in the day, he was a successful cosmetic artist,
plastic surgeon,
making boobs and bums for the Hollywood.
Which is, of course, why she was attracted to him, because he would do all these jobs for her for nothing.
For nothing. Wow, for something. But you then realise that Bruce Willis has turned into a drunk and is now dealing with corpses.
He's just a shell of a person.
I just love his performance, just seeing this mustached Bruce Willis go from a happy-go-lucky guy to really miserable.
It's in the bath. The beeper was beeping. It's Mr. Franklin again.
it's quite a transformation that they've all gone through, and none of them are happy whatsoever.
No.
Ernest and Madeline have sort of had some sort of disagreements.
Yeah.
They realise that Helen has got a book signing coming up.
Yes.
So they decide that they want to go there just so that they can feel better about themselves, just to see her, you know, obese, disgusting sort of state and have some sort of pity on her. But when they get there, lo and behold, the transformation has occurred. And she has lost the fat suit, and Goldie Hawn, for me, perhaps looks the most stunning I think I've ever seen her.
Oh, looks as though she's lost a few pounds.
We're leaving.
Nonsense. Let's go talk to her.
And the red dress, the red hair. She looked gorgeous, and so...
Damn.
And that is, of course, what sparks off Madeline also wanting to go off and get the potion. We get that poignant scene where Madeline goes back to her lover.
Toy boy.
Her toy boy. And that heartbreaking moment for her where she realises that he's with somebody else now.
Yeah.
And he just outright tells her, look, go find someone your own age. You're too old for me now.
So you never think about my feelings. You should go find someone your own age, Madeline.
You feel her pain, but at the same time, you know that she has lost her soul at this point already, because she has, in some senses, I see her as a victim. I see her as a victim of the media and pressure in order to continue to look youthful and young this whole time. And that's something that this movie does very well. It plays on all of humankind's fear of death. And also the fear of not being attractive on the outside anymore.
Yeah.
And the film very much is an exploration of beauty on the outside versus what's on the inside.
Yeah, definitely.
And that for me is the launch point then for these two female characters that want to get back to having that. And that is where the jinx of the movie really takes place, where after she's been offered by this really eccentric, weird doctor, after she's trying to go for like 50th facelift.
I thought he was the devil. He just appears in the room.
It's that twitchy eye he's got, and he's just like, excuse me, I'm just going to fix it. I'm like, well, later on we could probably believe that he's suffering some side effects, perhaps, from eternal youth. So anyway, she goes to this bizarre sort of twisted Gothic mansion-looking place, and is introduced to
Isabella Rossellini, the lady playing Lisa, the character. She is phenomenal as well. I mean, I've just barely gotten over Meryl Streep with her performance. I'm now getting handed a scantily clad brunette walking around with her boobs out.
I just arrived in town. I followed a spring. I haven't seen an autumn or winter in years. We are creatures of the spring, you and I.
And she held her own against Meryl Streep as a performer as well.
Yeah, definitely. The two of them on screen, we're now brought into the fantasy element of the film, where Madeline is being offered this magical potion to be young forever. But there's a catch. You have to, after 10 years... hide yourself away from celebrity status before anybody starts asking questions of how you're immortally young. And she goes on to mention about how some of her clients, she's passed them to, like Elvis Presley, Jim Morrison, Andy Warhol, and the ever excellent Greta Garbo. And this, for me, when I never got this the first time around, but hearing her mention Greta Garbo, I had to look her up. I had no idea who she was talking about, so I looked it up. And I realised that this actress she's talking about was, at the time, during the 30s, one of the biggest money-making machines on the screen. People would flock to see her all the time. And it changed my perspective on the movie completely. I've seen this film a number of times. I then started to look at it as a black and white 1930s picture. It would so work. The mystery, the darkness, the acting on screen, just the different elements, even simple scenes like where the rain comes down and covers Madeline and she just gets completely upset, focuses on the actors, and so everything else is just kind of ambience. And I was then just hooked.
Madeline! I need to speak to Madeline!
She's not here.
So this, at the midpoint of the movie, is where things start to get really wacky, really bizarre, and very duplicitous, because they start planning on how to kill off each other and get away with it.
Yes. Yeah.
Once they get to that point, Ernest now has returned affections for Helen and wants to get back with her. And so it's at that point that I'm just like, yeah, now you're a shallow douchebag too, because you're just going for the prettiest woman here.
Yeah, yeah.
And, so it's all shades of horrible for both sexes in this film. This film is not sexist to women or men, it's equally.
Yeah.
And so they start planning the murder. And it jumps to a really cool cutscene where it just shows all of the stages of what their plan is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right up to the point where they even have a small homage to Frankenstein with the brain in the jar.
I love it, because, like I said, looking at this film, I was looking at this film as a 1930s murder mystery. So they're sat there and they're clinking their glasses when Madeline's passed out. They're chucking her into a car. They've poured in God knows how much alcohol all over the car. And then they've just sent the car dramatically over the edge. And you just watch this car hit the floor and boom! And I just love the little bit after that where they're in the morgue and you got the two medical guys there. And one of them lifts up this horrible burnt arm.
.40. She had it coming.
But even as spectacular as that fantasy was...
Yeah.
It's not enough to prepare you for the bone-crunching, earth-shattering event that does occur. Madeline is completely and utterly belittling Ernest. She's putting him down so much that he snaps. And he wraps his hands around her throat and he is choking the life out of her. And then he lets her go while she's balanced precariously on the edge of the stairs. And she's just like, help me, goddammit now! And he's just like, I don't think so. Just gives her the simplest of taps and off she goes down the stairs. But it's the moment her head and her neck snaps, hitting those stairs as the rest of her body just ragdolls to the bottom. There's a moment of silence right there.
You got to tick these things off in this film. I mean, the fabulous acting from all the characters, the backdrop of the fantastical story that they've got to play, and then the special effects for all the death sequences. The death sequences are going to get more elaborate, but Madeline's fall down the stairs, I forgot how long it was. I had forgotten the noise that it makes. Just the snap, the break, the crack as he bounces all the way down the stairs to fall and end up in the most god-awful, painful shape. And you've just got Ernest there. I was just like Ernest, wide-eyed, like, oh boy. He runs down the stairs. Oh boy. He lifts up this completely shattered arm and he's like, oh boy. Very, very dark. A very, very dark comedy, this film. And that sort of... I mean, it's funny. It's dark and it's funny. And it doesn't end there. There's just the beginning for continued escalating madness. Especially when Helen and Madison are brought together and they're feuding with each other. They blow holes in each other's stomachs. They impale each other. They smack each other around with shovels. It is unbelievable, the torture that they put themselves through. And that is because these two women venomously hate each other for multiple reasons. Mostly their own vanity.
That is not true, liar. You were the one who attacked me first. Remember? Me? Yeah.
We could spoil kind of what's going to happen in the rest of the movie, but at this point, after everything you've seen, and Madeline has fallen down the stairs, she has come back to life, and it has been revealed that Helen and her are now immortal. They can die, but they will come back. And you're just like Bruce Willis, like, it's another miracle! It's a miracle!
It's a miracle!
It's a miracle that this film even works. You know, well, like I said, with the acting, the script, the special effects, just the bitter comedy behind it. Madeline and Helen absolutely hate each other with a passion. And it then turns out that the reasons why they hate each other are so tiny that they become friends at the end of it. I'm just like, oh, brilliant.
My favourite scene in the movie, it comes when, after she's had the fall down the stairs, Ernest rushes her to the hospital to see a doctor. And the first thing she complains about is a pain in her shoulder area, in her neck. And so he takes a look at it and he's like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like, yep, that's a problem. Okay, now I'm just going to check for your heart. Okay, yep, that one's broken in the bin. I'm just going to try another one. He's like, yep, your body temperature's dropped below normal. You have no heartbeat, and you have wounds which should have killed you. I'm going to go get a second opinion.
Your heart stopped beating.
What the hell does that mean?
Exactly what... I think I'm going to get a second opinion.
Just that doctor's reaction to him realising that she is a walking, talking zombie is just brilliant. I love that moment.
Everyone clear. Everyone clear. Get the mic. What do we have now?
I have loads of favourites. It was pretty much the whole film for me is one big long favourite sequence. One of them would have to be when Helen confronts Ernest about the murder of Madeline, and she stood in the hallway with him, and it's just the two of them on screen, but she starts talking about how she was unable to say the word sexual back in the day, and now she can. And then Goldie Hawn with those wonderful eyes and that beautiful dress is just going, sex, sex, sex.
Sexy. Sex. Sex.
Another one as well, just for simple shits and giggles, is the sequence where Ernest has had to go deal with a dead body at the mortuary, and he finds out that it's a 60-year-old man who was sleeping with an 18-year-old girl in a swimming pool, and he's drowned. And you walk in and you're greeted by this massive grinning dead man.
Yeah. Just as I'm going to throw in a second favourite scene. I love the scene where Ernest is at the bar and he's talking to this woman, and she's just like, oh, you did my great auntie's or my sister's funeral or whatever, and she looked so gorgeous it almost seemed the same to bury her. What's your secret? And he waffles on for a little bit, and he's just like, yeah, spray paint. Just go down the hardware store, mix them together a bit, because it's dead skin and nothing else sticks, so spray paint.
Well, one day I'm in the hardware store, and I think to myself, hey, what about mannequin paint? It's got its own chemical adhesive. Comes in an incredible variety of flesh.
I definitely recommend Death Becomes Her. It's a treat to rewatch all these years later as well. There's some brilliant special effects in the movie. Just some quick trivia here for you. But there's a scene where Meryl Streep's breasts become firmer in the movie. It's quite an iconic moment in the film. It's the visual way of showing to the audience that her body is becoming younger and firmer.
Yeah.
The special effect department created this pump bra thing, which would push her breasts together to give that illusion, but it just wasn't working. So it makes me laugh when you think that when that scene's happening, there's actually somebody there behind her with his hands pushing her breasts together for that shot. Somebody got paid to do that. I totally recommend Death Becomes Her. It's still funny. It's still got a moral message in there, which is going to be relevant to humankind forever, unless, of course, we do find the holy grail of youthful kind of medicine. Would you want to live forever, Iain?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you take this potion?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I definitely recommend this movie. It's a personal classic. The only reasons you wouldn't want to watch or enjoy this film is because you don't care about hot women, boobs, funny drunk plastic surgeons. At the same time, if you really want to watch this film, reasons. Meryl Streep, damn. Isabella Rossellini, damn twice. Goldie Hawn with those eyes, even with the hole in her stomach, damn again. And on top of that, you get Bruce Willis.
It's basically a club of necrophiliacs.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's what I said.
Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.